say, well, this kind of man, a man that will steal money from old age pensioners, who campaigned in the general election 60 days ago, telling pensioners, if the Tories get back, they'll take away your cold weather allowance. He's on video. His lips are moving. If the Tories get back, they'll take the pensioners' allowance. And as soon as he got in, he took the pensioners' allowance. That kind of man. And not just the pensioners. He even lied in the announcement. Disabled people. 1.7 million of our disabled people were also getting that cold weather allowance. They've had it taken away from them too. And you're right, the bus pass for pensioners will be the next thing to go. That matters to me, by the way. I'm an old age pensioner myself, but don't tell the wife. She thinks I'm 45.
44.
What kind of man does that? What kind of man, having railed against the Tory two-child cap on child benefit, talked about the 4 million children in this country that go to bed hungry. Hungry! Millions who go to school without a breakfast and are expected to learn in the classroom whilst hungry. He said that capping child benefit at 2 didn't just seem cruel, it was demographically foolish. We don't have enough children in this country. The same people that cheered on the cap on child benefit are the people that don't want immigrants. Well, if you don't have children and you don't have immigrants, who's going to wipe your ass when you're 85? Who's going to work? Who's going to work to pay the tax, to keep your services going? There'll be nobody paying tax at this rate, in a declining birth rate. We need more children, not fewer.
Yeah.
And so, to cap child benefit at 2 is not just cruel to child number 3. They didn't ask to be child number 3, but they were born into a poor family, and the state will not support them, not 1 penny. What kind of man does that? What kind of man goes the next day, the announcement of the withdrawal of the pensioners' heating allowance, the next day, David Lammy, my God, we've had some foreign secretaries, but David Lammy, the Idi Amin of British politics, Lammy went to Kiev and handed over another 600 million pounds of your money to keep the war going in the Ukraine, bringing to 13 billion that we have given to the war in Ukraine. You want to put that in perspective? Withdrawing the cold weather payments saved 1 billion. Of course, it doesn't save it, because a lot of these old people are going to get sick and finish up in the hospital unless they kill them. I see today in the papers they're going to rush through legislation for what they call assisted dying, late stage capitalism. Anyone? Your old mother, my mother's 90 years old almost.
Bless her.
How long before the nudge and the wink and the encouragement? You don't want to be a burden, dear, do you? We've got this assisted dying law now, you know. Why don't you shuffle on? Leave your house to your kids and be a blessed memory. That's the game they're in. They don't care if these pensioners end up dead. In fact, they have officially calculated that 4,000 of them are going to die as a result of the withdrawal of this allowance. 4,000 grannies. You're going to kill them to save $1 billion when you gave $13 billion to a war in a country we know nothing about. None of you know the names of these towns that our money is going to perpetuate the war in. In fact, we've promised Zelensky £3 billion a year forever. That's the words they used. Forever. And it's $1 billion to keep the pensioners warm in the winter time. Now they are forced to choose between heating or eating. You decide. I met a man in the audience tonight telling me about people who intend to hang around in shopping malls, hang around in public places, because they will not be able to heat their homes. What kind of man does that? I'll tell you what kind of man. A man who says that Israel has the right to starve Palestinian children to death. He said it on television.
Shame.
He was asked by Nick Ferrari, does Israel have the right to withhold water, electricity, food, medicine? He answered, he'll never be able to get away from this. He answered, I think Israel has that right. That's what kind of man he is.
Shame on him.
They say he's a KC, a KFC. His degree's from KFC, it must be. How could a lawyer think that was legal? To withdraw food and medicine from children in a concentration camp. How could any lawyer think that that was legal? But he said it was legal.
Shame, shame.
What kind of man continues to supply weapons to Netanyahu when half the Israelis are on the street trying to get rid of him? Starmer is fully behind him. That's the kind of man.
He's a lapdog.
And this is all in 60 days. The reason I'm wearing makeup is I've just been on the television. I was interviewing a young South African. I was telling him about the time when I was there in the room when Margaret Thatcher called Nelson Mandela a common terrorist. The young man said there's a difference between then and now. Then, people like Thatcher thought that Mandela was a terrorist, but the Labour Party was in support of Nelson Mandela. Now, it's the Labour Party that's on the side of apartheid. It's the Labour Party that's supporting the criminal Netanyahu. That is, if you think about it, quite a big change. In the 1980s, 70s, although they didn't do much about it, Labour would ordinarily be against apartheid. It was the Tories that were in favour of it. Now it's the Labour Party that is witch hunting their own members, expelled their own leader, Corbyn, for opposing apartheid. So where do we come in? My good wife said it best. That's why she's my wife. We are what Labour was supposed to be. We are what Labour under Tony Benn was. I looked the other day, because someone sent it to me, a BBC interview I did on the death of Mr. Benn. And every word I said then I could repeat now. What Ben stood for is what we stand for. But the Labour Party no longer stands for that. So we are carrying his memory, his banner. Nothing extreme about that, is there? We're not Marxists or Leninists or Stalinists or any of these things. We are Bennists. We support the Tony Benn Labour Party. Isn't there a need for that? Isn't there a space for that in British politics? Is politics the two cheeks of the same arse of Keir Starmer and Rishi Sunak? Really? Tweedledee, Tweedledum? Is that all there is? Is that the best there is? Cannot be. Cannot be, because that doesn't help you. You will gain nothing from these two parties, these two cheeks of the same backside. They'll do nothing for you. You don't matter to them. They are bought and paid for, just like the Democrats and the Republicans in the United States. Two cheeks of the same backside. They're all shit, and there's nothing in it for you. But the good news is, you've got the chance to do something about it. And the revolution does start here. Yes. The fight back does start here. Imagine, in this little blessed quarter, you are the center of the political universe. On Thursday, you have a chance to make history. And the good news further is, the Labour Party conference starts the next day. Imagine how they'll feel going into their conference to clap like seals for Keir Starmer. Imagine how they'll feel if the night before the people of the Harrow Road ward sent them this powerful message by electing this powerful man as councillor for the Harrow Road ward. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone, for coming. I would like to open the floor up to any questions that people have for George or myself. If you'd just like to put your hand up, and if you can, basically, I'll pass the microphone with this on to you to ask you questions, and then George and I will hopefully answer your questions. So if you go there first, and then there, please. Thank you, sir.
Hello, Mr. Galloway. My name is Sajjad Al-Hayri. Quick question. Why did you meet with Saddam Hussein? And can we not vote for the Green Party because they believe in the same thing to stop the genocide in Gaza? They came second in the national elections, and I voted Workers' Party in the last election. But I'm just wanting to compare who's best.
Well, I'm happy to...
Let's get the mic for you, sir.
I'm happy to talk about Saddam Hussein. And your question doesn't have the same sting that it might have 20 years ago. I met Saddam Hussein to try and stop the Iraq War. Is anyone alive that thinks that stopping the Iraq War was not a good idea? Is there anybody who thinks the Iraq War was a good idea? No. I infer from your question that you are one of what must be the smallest group in British politics. Those who think that the Iraq War was the right thing to do. I tried to stop it, and I would do it again. I would do it again. The Green Party supports NATO, supports Israel's right to exist, unquote. The Green Party supports a two-state solution in the area I believe in a free Palestine from the river to the sea. These are three important differences. And there's a fourth one. I'm the leader of the Workers' Party. Who's the leader of the Green Party? Ever heard of them? Anyone think that anyone's afraid of the leader of the Green Party? I promise you the establishment's afraid of me.
Oh yeah, that right there.